From chaos, the nothingness, sprang the first three immortal beings: Gaia, Mother Earth; Tartarus, ruler of the underworld; and Eros, love, whose beauty inspired the creation of many gods. Gaia then gave birth to Uranus, Father Sky, and made him equal to her so that he would surround her on all sides. She also birthed Aurea, mountains, and Pontus, the sea. Gaia and Uranus then became married, and Uranus ruled over all creation. The first three immortal children of the marriage were the Hecatoncheires, each having 50 heads and 50 arms coming out the shoulders. The next three were the Cyclops, who were expert craftsmen and eventually built Mount Olympus. Uranus was intimidated by the 6 children, however, and feared their strength, so he bound them and hurled them deep into Gaia, the Earth, and they fell for 9 days and 9 nights. Eventually, they landed in the underworld. Uranus could then be happy and expect to rule eternally with no threat to his reign. Gaia hated Uranus for the treatment of her children, but stayed quiet until the day she could take her revenge. The next children born would be the longest reigning: Helios, god of the sun, who drove it across the sky in a chariot. Selene was the goddess of the moon. Oceanus was the god of the river that surrounded the earth. Themis was the goddess of prophecy at Delphi. Rhea was a goddess of the earth who would later marry Cronus. They would become the parents of the Greek gods. Atlas was the god of the sky and was the strongest. He had the responsibility of keeping the sky from falling to earth. Prometheus, the smartest and most clever Titan, created mortal man from water and clay. His brother, Epimetheus, would marry Pandora, the first mortal woman. Gaia saw the Titans as a means to exact her revenge. She fashioned a great piece of flint into a sickle and approached her sons. She told them Uranus was cruel and locked away their brothers deep within the earth. The brothers feared Uranus, and none listened or responded, except for Cronus, the youngest Titan. He was much closer to his father in his temper, and was the most courageous. Gaia became proud of Cronus, and knew Uranus's punishment would be soon. After Helios set the sun, Uranus retired to the beach to sleep with Gaia. Selene shone the light of the moon on Uranus as he slept, and he raised the sickle, emasculated his father, and told him his reign was over. Being immortal, he couldn't die, but he could feel extreme pain. From the flowing blood, Gaia brought more children called the Giants. They were fearsome and wore thick cloth armor that made them seem invincible. From the severed pieces of Uranus in the sea bore Aphrodite, goddess of beauty and sexual desire. Cronus took his father's spot as god of the sky, but began himself to fear the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclops, so he ignored the promise to his mother to free them. This angered Gaia, and she took joy in telling Cronus the prophecy that one day, a son would dethrone him just as he had done to his own father. He vowed never to have children, but soon had a daughter with Rhea, his wife, named Hestia. Cronus became mad with the idea of losing his power, and without checking if the baby was a boy, he took the infant and devoured her. Rhea would have 4 more children: Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. With the birth of each child, Rhea would hand over the baby, hoping Cronus would spare it, but he never did, eating each one. Just before Rhea would have the 6th, she pleaded to Gaia, who was full of grief. Gaia told her the child to be born would certainly be the one to take revenge on Cronus. She then instructed her to go to Crete, and leave the baby deep in the caves of Mount Dicta. She would see the baby be cared for and be hidden from the crazed Titan. She gave birth to the god Zeus and returned home. A rock took the place of the boy, swaddled in a cloth just as the previous children had been. On sight, he picked up the bundle and ate it. He became delighted, believing he had fooled fate. Years passed, and Zeus matured. Cronus ruled a joyous and worry-free reign. One day, Rhea served her husband a delicious drink of which he wanted more. The second drink was brought by a servant. He greedily downed the beverage and began to feel sick. He thought he'd been poisoned, but instead vomited, and out came a rock, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia, all fully grown. Rhea, along with Zeus, told Cronus that his reign was over. There began a war between Zeus and his siblings, and Cronus and the Titans who aligned with him. They were so evenly matched, 10 years went by without victory. Gaia helped Zeus one more time, and told him that with the help of the Hecatoncheires and Cyclops, they would win the war. Zeus and his brothers then set forth to Tartarus, killed the guard, freed them from their bondage, and asked for their alliance. They accepted, and as a sign of gratitude, the Cyclops gifted to Zeus the power of thunder and lightning in the form of a bolt. They gifted to Poseidon a trident that could shake the earth and sea. They gave Hades a helmet that granted invisibility. With these weapons, the gods beat the Titans, and Zeus granted the Hecatoncheires the privilege of casting them into Tartarus, and guard them from ever getting out. Atlas, however, due to his size and power, was given the punishment of eternally holding up the sky on his shoulders. The gods drew lots, and Zeus got domain of the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades the underworld. They maintained peace among mortals and taught the humans to live in peace as well. The rule of the Titans was over, and the rule of the gods had begun.